Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you can. And imagine a wall of warm, glowing light around you. It's your only defense against what you're about to hear. It started with a call from Roc Nation, a chance to perform for Beyoncé herself. It should have been a dream come true. But when I stepped into that penthouse with Jay-Z and Diddy watching from the shadows, the air felt different, thick, unnatural. And then I heard it, the golden microphone breathing. If you're brave enough, lean in close. Because what I'm about to tell you is unforgettable, for all the wrong reasons. I've been chasing this dream for years, late nights in cramped studios, hustling for every tiny feature, performing in half-empty clubs where the sound system crackles worse than my nerves. But that all changed when my single finally hit the radio. The first time I heard my voice come through those car speakers, I nearly crashed. It felt like proof, like the universe finally whispered back, "You made it." So when my phone lit up with a call from Roc Nation, I damn near dropped it. I answered with a confidence I barely felt, my heart pounding in my chest. "This is him," I said, trying not to let my voice crack. "Good," came the reply, cool and sharp, like the speaker already knew everything about me. "Beyoncé wants to hear you sing, in person." There was a pause. I had to replay the words in my head to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Beyoncé, the queen, one of my idols. "Wait, what?" I stammered, pacing my tiny apartment, stepping over the chords and clutter that had become my life. "Beyoncé? Are you serious?" The exec's voice didn't waver. "You have a unique sound. She heard your track and liked it. She wants to hear it live. In fact, the whole team's excited about you. But first, a gift." "A gift?" "We're serious about this, and we want you to look the part. We'll handle your wardrobe for the night." There was a rustle on the other end, like papers being shuffled or contracts being signed. "I'm sending you something, a token of our appreciation. Use it wisely." The line went dead, leaving me staring at the screen, my heart still racing. 5 minutes later, a courier knocked on my door. He handed me a small, sleek black envelope, the kind you see in spy movies. I tore it open, half expecting a plane ticket or an NDA. Instead, out slid a shiny, pitch-black credit card. There was no name, no numbers, just the Roc Nation logo engraved in shimmering black. I flipped it over, running my fingers over the cool metal. I turned the card in my hand, its weight heavier than it should have been, like it held more than just access to someone else's fortune. My phone buzzed again. "You got the card?" the same voice asked. Yeah, I managed. "Good. Go get something nice. Look sharp. This is a big night for you." I felt the grin spread across my face. I could almost see my reflection in the glossy surface of the card, the small letters of Roc Nation glinting back at me like a promise. "How much can I spend?" I asked, trying to sound casual. There was a pause, then a small, humorless chuckle. "Whatever you want." The line cut off again, and I felt the hairs on my arms stand up, the chill of the metal card suddenly a little too cold against my fingers. I tossed it onto the counter, my pulse still racing. This was it, my moment. As I headed for the door, I glanced back at the card, its dark surface seeming to drink in the light, a tiny whisper echoing in the back of my mind. A thought I quickly shook off. I had no idea how deep this rabbit hole would go. The crisp New York air hit me as I stepped out of my building, the Roc Nation card cool in my pocket, its weight a constant reminder of the night ahead. I slipped into the back of a waiting black SUV. No Uber this time, not tonight. The driver didn't ask my name, didn't even glance back as I climbed in. Just a nod in the mirror and the gentle hum of the engine as we slid into the evening traffic. The streets blurred past in streaks of neon and brake lights. My mind raced just as fast. This was my moment, my shot. But even as I tried to ride the high, a small part of me felt off, like I was teetering on the edge of something I couldn't see. We pulled up to the entrance of a high-end designer store in Soho, the kind of place where the windows look more like art installations, and the doormen eye you like they're deciding whether you belong. I stepped inside, the warm air thick with the smell of leather and expensive cologne. A tall, slender woman with piercing eyes and a stiff black suit approached me. She gave me a look, half appraisal, half silent judgment, before her eyes flicked down to the black card I pulled from my pocket. Her demeanor changed instantly. "Welcome, sir. Right this way." She led me past racks of meticulously spaced designer suits, displays of watches that cost more than my entire recording setup, and shoes polished to a mirror finish. The whole place felt more like a museum than a store. Cold, pristine, untouched. As she gestured to a private fitting room, I caught my reflection in a polished glass display case. For a second, my face looked strange, almost distorted, the lights casting shadows that didn't quite match my movements. I blinked, and it was gone. Just my own nervous, slightly sweaty face staring back at me. She handed me a series of outfits. Sleek black suits, velvet blazers, crisp white shirts with stiff collars that felt like a noose around my neck. I chose a deep crimson jacket that fit perfectly. The fabric soft yet structured, almost like a second skin. As I stepped out, the woman nodded approvingly, tapping something into her tablet. I felt the card grow heavier in my pocket, as if it knew it had just absorbed another piece of my soul. As I left the store, my phone buzzed again, the same number as before. "You're looking sharp. Your driver's waiting. It's time." The line cut off, the echo of the voice clinging to my thoughts like smoke. Back in the SUV, I watched the streets shift from bustling chaos to quiet, exclusive calm. The buildings grew taller, the lights more refined, the cars sleeker. We pulled up to a towering hotel, its marble entrance polished to a blinding shine under the streetlights. The doorman didn't speak as he opened my door, just gave a small, knowing nod. The lobby was a cathedral of glass and stone, each footstep echoing like a distant heartbeat. I approached the elevator, its doors gleaming like freshly polished gold. As they slid open, I hesitated for a moment, a small shiver creeping up my spine. I stepped inside, the doors whispering shut behind me, sealing me into the small, mirrored space. As the elevator rose, the numbers ticking by, the air grew heavier, the soft hum of the motor deepening into a low, throbbing pulse. I took a deep breath, my reflection staring back at me, my new crimson jacket glowing like fresh blood under the sterile lights. Finally, the elevator chimed, the doors sliding open with a soft, almost reluctant sigh. The penthouse was just a few steps away, its double doors slightly ajar, warm light spilling out into the cold, empty hallway. I stepped forward, my shoes muffled by the thick, plush carpet, my heart thudding in my chest. As I reached the doorway, I felt a slight chill, like the air itself was trying to warn me, a cold breath against the back of my neck. I hesitated, my fingers brushing the edge of the door, the polished wood cool under my touch. Then, I stepped inside. And the first thing that hit me was the silence. It wrapped around me, thick and oppressive, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. The air was warm, tinged with the faint, metallic tang of something I couldn't quite place. The lights were dim, casting deep, uncertain shadows across the polished marble floors. Candles lined the hall, their flames flickering with every slight shift in the air, as if whispering secrets in a language older than the city outside. I took a few tentative steps, my polished shoes sinking into the thick black carpet. The living room opened up before me, a sprawling expanse of leather, glass, and steel. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed a panoramic view of the city, the skyscrapers below glittering like 1,000 eyes, all watching, all waiting. The centerpiece of the room was a massive circular bed, its dark, velvet sheets rumpled, as if recently disturbed. But what truly caught my attention was the golden microphone. It hung from the ceiling, its slender, ornate body glinting in the candlelight. The cord snaked up into the shadows above, disappearing into the darkened corners of the high, vaulted ceiling. I stepped closer, my eyes tracing the intricate patterns etched into the microphone's surface, swirling, twisting designs that seemed to shift and writhe under the flickering light like a living thing. "You like it?" The voice behind me was smooth, rich, unmistakable. I turned slowly, my heart doing a strange, uncomfortable flip in my chest. Beyoncé. She stood in the doorway, framed by the flickering candlelight, her silhouette sharp, her eyes dark and unreadable. She wore a long, flowing dress, the fabric clinging to her curves like liquid gold, shimmering as she moved. I didn't expect this," I stammered, my throat suddenly dry. She smiled, a slow, almost predatory curl of her lips, stepping closer, her bare feet soundless against the carpet. "I like to keep things intimate," she said, her voice low and smooth, each word carefully measured. "Music is about connection. It's about energy." She glided past me, her eyes never leaving mine as she approached the golden microphone. She reached up, her slender fingers brushing the surface of the metal. For a moment, I thought I saw it shiver at her touch, the patterns rippling like disturbed water. "This microphone," she whispered, her gaze still locked on mine, "it's special. It's heard some of the most powerful voices in the world. It carries their echoes, their energy. It remembers." I swallowed hard, my pulse thudding in my ears. "Come," she said, gesturing to the bed. "Sit." I hesitated, a deep, primal instinct screaming at me to turn and run, to bolt back to the elevator and disappear into the crowded New York night. But my feet moved before my mind could catch up, carrying me to the edge of the bed. I sank down, the mattress swallowing me in its soft, oppressive embrace. As she sat beside me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from her skin, the air grew thicker, heavier, like the room itself was leaning in, straining to hear what would happen next. From the shadows in the corner of the room, I heard a soft, low murmur, the deep, unmistakable cadence of Jay-Z. I froze, my eyes darting to the source. But the shadows remained thick, impenetrable, their shapes barely visible in the dim light. Beside him, another figure leaned forward, the glint of a diamond-studded watch catching the candlelight. The figure chuckled, a sound I'd heard 1,000 times in rap interludes and club anthems. Diddy. The room felt smaller now, the air hotter, the candle flames growing taller, their shadows dancing wildly against the walls. Beyoncé leaned in closer, her breath warm against my ear. "All you have to do," she whispered, "is sing with me. Just a little duet, a harmony. Let the microphone hear you." Her hand slid over mine, her fingers cool against my suddenly clammy skin. "It will protect you. We'll protect you." From the shadows, the low voices whispered again, words I couldn't quite catch, their tones rising and falling like an incantation. I felt the bed shift slightly as the microphone above me swayed, its cord creaking gently, the etched designs seeming to pulse in time with my racing heartbeat. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught in my throat, the air too thick, the shadows too close. "Don't worry," she murmured, her eyes glowing faintly in the candlelight. "Roc Nation always protects its own." As I stepped closer, the air grew thicker, clinging to my skin like damp velvet. The microphone swayed gently above the bed, its golden surface glinting in the flickering candlelight. I froze, my eyes locked on the twisting, coiling designs etched into the metal. For a heartbeat, I could have sworn I saw them shift, the patterns bending and stretching like a serpent uncoiling, each line a vein, each curve a pulse. Then I heard it, a slow, wet inhale, like something breathing through damp, twisted cords. I stumbled back, my foot catching on the edge of the plush carpet, my pulse hammered in my ears, my chest tightening as the sound grew louder, a deep rhythmic hiss that filled the room, matching the slow rise and fall of the golden microphone as it swayed gently above the bed. The air around me felt hot, oppressive, each breath heavy with the sharp metallic tang of blood and the bitter, acrid stench of burnt incense. I felt my stomach churn, the taste of bile rising in my throat. I shot a glance at Beyoncé, her eyes still locked on mine. Her lips curled into a knowing, almost hungry smile. In the corner, Jay-Z shifted, his massive form leaning forward, his eyes catching the candlelight for a brief, unsettling moment. The tiny flames flickered in his pupils, twin points of fire reflecting back at me, sharp and unblinking. I opened my mouth, my voice coming out thin, weak, barely more than a whisper. I just need a drink, I managed, my throat raw, my heart hammering in my chest. Jay-Z rose slowly, his movements deliberate, almost mechanical. He stepped into the light, the shadows clinging to him like dark, wet smoke. His eyes never left mine, the flames still dancing in his pupils, his face a mask of quiet, predatory amusement. He reached for a crystal decanter, the glass catching the firelight, casting fractured, blood-red streaks across the walls. He poured the liquid slowly, the faint clink of ice hitting the glass echoing through the room like a distant death knell. He handed me the drink, his fingers brushing mine, the touch cold, too cold, like the grip of something long dead. His smile widened, the fire in his eyes flaring brighter for a split second, a flash of pure, predatory hunger. I took the glass, my hands shaking, the cool liquid sloshing against the sides. I forced a long, desperate sip, the taste sharp, bitter, metallic, burning, as it slid down my throat, settling like ice in my gut. As the room around me started to blur, the shadows growing longer, the whispers in the walls growing louder, I caught one last glimpse of Jay-Z's eyes, the flames still flickering in his pupils, his smile stretching just a little too wide, his teeth sharp, glinting in the dim light. And then the world tilted, the room spinning, the darkness rushing up to swallow me whole. I woke with a start, my body jerking upright, the sheets clinging to my sweat-soaked skin. My head throbbed, a deep bone-crushing ache radiating from my temples, each pulse a fresh wave of nausea. The sharp, metallic taste of bile clung to the back of my throat, and the heavy, suffocating scent of incense still clung to my clothes, mixing with the stale air of my cramped apartment. I blinked, my vision blurred, the edges of my room swimming in shadow. I reached for my phone, my fingers numb, clumsy, the cool glass slick with sweat as I swiped up the lock screen. No missed calls, no texts, no notifications from Roc Nation. I frowned, my mind racing, fragments of the night before crashing into each other. The penthouse, the candles, Beyoncé's whispered words, the heavy, predatory stare of Jay-Z, the golden microphone swaying gently above the bed, breathing, whispering, hungry. For a second, I thought I heard the soft, rhythmic hiss of the microphone again, that slow, wet sound of air moving through twisted cords, but it was gone just as quickly, replaced by the dull, distant hum of the city outside my window. I staggered to my feet, nearly tripping over the pile of tangled cords and half-filled notebooks littering my floor. I stumbled into the bathroom, flicking on the harsh, buzzing fluorescent light. I squinted at my reflection, my bloodshot eyes staring back at me, my face pale, the dark circles beneath my eyes standing out like fresh bruises. My phone buzzed, the sudden vibration sending a shock of adrenaline through my already frayed nerves. I scrambled back to my bed, snatching the phone from the tangled sheets, my heart hammering in my chest. I froze. The screen was alive with notifications, headlines flashing like warning lights. Breaking news, rising R&B star accused of abusing high school girlfriend. Social media erupts as new scandal rocks music industry. My stomach twisted, the air leaving my lungs in a harsh, choked gasp. I scrolled through the endless wave of tweets, news articles, and video clips, each one more damning than the last, each one painting me as a monster, a predator, a liar. No, this isn't real. This never happened. This never happened. I dropped the phone, the screen cracking as it hit the edge of my unmade bed, the shards catching the pale morning light, splintering into 1,000 tiny, accusing fragments. I stumbled to my desk, ripping open my laptop, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hit the power button. The screen flickered to life, my desktop cluttered with unfinished mixes, rough drafts, half-written lyrics. I clicked into my streaming dashboard, my heart pounding in my ears, the blood rushing so loudly I almost missed it. The small, blinking red text in the corner of the screen. Account suspended. Every single track, every single song, every piece of me, gone. My heart felt like it was being squeezed, crushed, my chest tightening as the walls around me seemed to lean in, the shadows growing darker, heavier, pressing down. Then my phone rang. I stared at the cracked screen, my name barely visible beneath the spiderweb of fractures. The number was blocked, no caller ID, just the harsh, relentless buzz echoing through my tiny apartment. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over the screen, my pulse a frantic, erratic drumbeat. I answered. For a moment, there was nothing but the soft, crackling static, like a distant radio signal caught in a storm. Then, a low, distorted voice cut through the noise, each word slow, deliberate, dripping with dark amusement. The microphone protects those who sing to it. The line went dead, the sudden silence so loud it felt like a physical blow. My own ragged, terrified breathing the only sound left in the room. I slowly lowered the phone, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped it. My gaze drifted back to my laptop, the shattered screen still flickering weakly, the dull blue light casting twisted shadows against the far wall. In the darkened reflection, I swore I saw it, a faint golden glimmer hovering over my bed, swaying gently, each slow, rhythmic pulse sending a fresh wave of terror through my veins. The microphone. It was breathing.